Hello everybody, and today we are taking a look at the Hot Toys General Skywalker as seen in the Clone Wars, or more accurately, Battlefront 2, depending on where you saw this bad boy. Now, I picked this guy up for two reasons. One, to build up the Clone Wars collection, but secondly, because later on down the line we're going to be getting an Ahsoka variant of this look of Mr. Skywalker himself. And I definitely didn't just want to compare the two, so I wanted this guy for like the version 1 and then the version 2 later down the line. That sounds really bad now I put it like that. But regardless, let's open her up. So as it says there, this is the Sideshow exclusive. This is the one that comes with a good old poncho. Now, a version of this also came with a stap, but because that's a bit ridiculous in terms of size, I decided against it, so I just wanted the figure himself. And it's just a standard, regular old Hot Toys box. So here's the slip cover. Very Mustafari, very nice, very angry, just like the man himself. But if we really quickly, that's what you see, lovely plastic. And his poncho, because every good Jedi needs a good poncho. So the first tray holds some accessories, some hands, and the big boy poncho, you know, the special edition. Lovely stuff, we'll try that out in a sec. And the main tray holds the figure, the stand, his LED hand, some very faded lightsaber blades, the lightsabers themselves, and some extra peggies, because sometimes you might be getting it too crazy with the little poses and, you know, you snap them to bits. First impressions, this guy's actually quite light, so you know he's not going to like wear down his joints over time, which is quite nice. I know a lot of people like heft for premiumness, but when they're quite light they don't really damage themselves as much. So a lot of people thought this head sculpt was kind of weird, because I believe it's the Revenge of the Sith Hot Toys sculpt with a different hairpiece on top, but I kind of like that. It's very nice. Now it's got one of the variants of the armor on. I believe that's the more animated style. I believe. Could be wrong though. What's nice about this Anakin is it's as he's a younger version, he's not as insane yet in terms of anger. So the kind of the brighter colours reflect that. Whether you prefer the darker look in Revenge of the Sith like I do, or if you like the General Skywalker look, it's fully up to you, it's fully your preference. But because I love the Clone Wars, I want to get the general looks for everybody, so I want to get the Obi-Wan eventually at some point as well. For unboxing's sake, I will inform you that the plastic, although protecting the figure in display, was very hard to get off, so much so it almost fused to the pleather on the boots there. But other than that, really easy to get the boy out the box, as it probably, you know, should be. Shouldn't be that difficult unless you've got a smooth brain like me. But yeah, this guy is looking absolutely stunning. And when this guy released, it was to like a mixed response, if I remember rightly. It is a couple of years old now. But this idea of the blend of realism versus cartoon got people a bit riled up at the time. And it's still the same now with clones and etc. But I always liked the look of it, so I always wanted to get this figure. And seeing it on sale, I was like, absolutely. Just so for reference, I got this during Sideshow Con. They were doing a lovely little sale, so I picked this boy up. So let's take a quick look at this lightsaber, because the sculpt itself is wonderful. The paint on it's really nice, and this all round looks like a beautiful saber. But why did they decide to go for this such light blue? Because when let's say for example, we'll just quickly put a light through. Like, yes, it disperses the light really nice. But this colour, it's so close to pale. That is so pale, it may as well be just a white saber. Because, I mean, just for reference, look at how blue his suit is there. And then that. Whatever that is. So, might need to get some custom blades. So, as a kid growing up, my favourite Jedi was Anakin. I think that's the same for a lot of people my age. Growing up with the prequels, and then being like the age I grew up with Star Wars. And then with Clone Wars kind of gave this look into Anakin that was a lot more varied. So like you got to see a lot more different sides to the guy. But the look, I didn't really like as a kid. I much preferred Obi-Wan's because he matched the clones a lot better. And also, I'm going to sound really dumb here. I didn't realise this was a reference to Darth Vader. And it's really silly that I didn't realise that until like way too recently. But seeing it, you're just like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. So he kind of like grows into the role more and more over time, and war brings it out of him, which is a nice little detail. So stuff like that makes me grow on the suit over time. And then also just the figure itself really brings out like the detail and the attention to it. But also he's not all black yet. He's not in the all black leather. So he's still kind of in sync with the Order a little bit. It's still more like earthly tones. Now it's still darker compared to like Obi-Wan and like Yoda and Mace Windu. But he's still a bit brighter. And he's still a bit more young and hopeful. Which is, once again, more attention to storytelling. And oh my god! I've cut off his arm again! So this is a mainly fabric body. So which means you can get the guy in really good poses. And also there's wires in the bottom here. So if we wanted to, we could get a bit more flowy and a bit more dynamic, which is really nice. So it looks like they're more in the front and in the sides than they are in like the back. But already there, that's a lot more dynamic than it was before, which is just straight out. So it looks a lot more like he's billowing in the wind, and it can go with the motion of the figure, which is really nice. That's probably something I would have forgotten as a designer, so that's cool. So yeah, he looks a bit more fighty and not just static and stoic. So it depends how you display your figures, really. But overall, that's a really cool look. I don't know if this is accurate to the suit or the show, but it's got a black inner lining for the blue, which, if you made it flow right enough, could look a bit more menacing and dark. But also, it'll add greater contrast and shadows. So that's also another little attention detail that I didn't realise there was a black undersuit on the blue tunic, which is quite nice. So because the armour pieces are attached by Velcro, you couldn't really turn this into like a Season 3 onwards looking Anakin, unless you like took off the Velcro. I don't know how you do that. I'm not a custom guy. I just kit bash stuff. But technically you could. It's easy to remove the armour, and it doesn't actually look too bad unless... Well, it doesn't look too bad if you get rid of the Velcro. That actually looks tailored quite nicely. The neck doesn't look too big for the figure. So that could work. I'm kind of changing my mind as I talk. So in the box, it comes with armor variation. So this one seems to be more Battlefront 2 inspired. I don't know if this one's Battlefront 2 or Tartakovsky Clone Wars, because this one comes attached with the cape, which, off topic, very nice. I love the look of that. Very ethereal. Looks more knight-esque. But yeah, this is the different variation of armor. Now, I imagine you can put the Jedi logo on either side. I've put it on the right arm. I think it's supposed to go on the left to contrast with the robotic arm on the right. But I've put them both on the right side. So you can mix and match as well. You could put the bigger armor pieces on this body. You could do whatever, really. It's your figure, I'm not your mother. I don't know which armor piece I prefer. Like, I don't know which one I would actually display him with. It's kind of a toss-up, but this one covers a lot more of the chest. This one's a lot larger. This one, it's so much bigger, oh my god. Which I don't know if I'm a fan of, like, in comparison to the smaller one. But I prefer the shape, so who knows. But yeah, you can take this cape off and you can use it on the other one. But for now, I've just got it on there because it looks really cool. So both armor pieces have Velcro tabs on the inside, which means you can mix and match the Velcroed cape. So I am loving the material they used for the cape. It's a really nice drape cape. It's not wired, that's the whole point of a drape cape, but it's got like some slight pleats in, and it's shaped in a way which makes it look very knightly. Now, I don't know what he uses this in. I know he has a cape sometimes in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, but I'm not too entirely sure what this is for, unless just for concept art, which I don't mind. But it gives you variation, gives you display options, which is quite nice. So a close look at some of the accessories we haven't seen yet is another closed hand, some force hands, the poncho, thermal detonators, and for the little display unit so he can talk to his buddies, you get Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Ahsoka, but the final season variant. Which, I mean, if you're a fan of accuracy, it's a bit weird. But if you're not, if you just don't mind, because you can clearly tell that's Ahsoka, so he's just talking to Ahsoka, that's fine. And then this is the little display unit, which I used to have like a McDonald's ages ago, when the Clone Wars movie came out. They made one of these, and I always thought this was like a really cool prop. So yeah, but you get a teeny one of those, which is really nice. And just with a few seconds of setup, that's how that looks in his hand. Now, if I was to redo this figure, or if I was to redo these I would put like teeny weeny magnets in the hands and then put teeny weeny magnets in the prop so it's easier for him to hold. But that's, I don't know if that's even possible. I don't know if you could get small enough magnets that wouldn't like make bumps in the hands. But otherwise, that's a good setup. It's just a bit precarious. But you can see the blue of the translucent Ahsoka there just matches his lightsaber way more than his actual lightsaber does. Like, that just fades out, whereas that blue actually stands out quite nicely. So they can do it. I don't know why they decided, not to. Regardless though, that looks sick. That's a great way to display it. And if you want something a little bit more dynamic, he comes with a little swoosh effect for the blade, which looks a bit more like a fan, but to be perfectly honest, I don't mind it. It looks more like a motion blur effect, I suppose. It doesn't have... It looks a bit uniform. Justin's collection goes in a bit more depth on how you do it differently. And I think they have done it differently for certain ones, but that wasn't a thing by the time this was released. So it's a bit basic. It's like a light fan. But I think it looks kind of fun still. So I believe every Clone Wars character comes with these droid poppers. Now, I think earlier in the video I said thermal detonators or grenades. Technically, because it's Clone Wars, the droid poppers, because they're electrical, not thermal. But nerdisms aside, I'm pretty sure all of them come with 2 at this point. So you get your full spherical one that he's holding there, or you get a half-cut one, which is more for, like, on the floor or just being easy to place so they don't roll everywhere. Now, if you don't want them to roll everywhere, I'd probably have the same argument as the communications device, which is make it magnetic and make the hands magnetic so it sticks in the hand. But, nitpicks aside, it looks cool. It's a nice little effect, and if you want to change up your display, or if you want to have a load of them everywhere with your clones and stuff, you get some extras. So that's always nice. So, like I alluded to earlier, this guy comes with a poncho, because the special edition on Sideshow, for no additional cost, it looked like, comes with a poncho. And it's wired, and I think it's more designed to have the armour on. So I've just quickly put the armour back on him, and yeah, it suits his body so much more. The tailoring was definitely designed for the armour to be on. As you can see, it's kind of... There's a lot less floating about because it's now resting on the armour. Obviously, it covers up a lot of the detail. Now, you could like make it flow, because there's certain wires in certain areas to make it show off the armour. But yeah, it is literally just a cover piece. Unless you're going for a poncho collection, it's kind of just like a nice extra for certain photos at certain times. But I wouldn't say this is like what everybody's going to buy this figure for. But if it literally comes at no extra cost and it's there, may as well pick this version up. After all, is it even Star Wars if there's no poncho involved? So Anakin comes with a built-in lightsaber light-up hand, which used button cell batteries for. This was before the days of the USB-C and light-up packs. And I've heard horror stories about getting this arm on and off. This peg snaps. And then also, in my last video where I opened up an Iron Man, I dislodged my fingernail trying to get these little things to open. I cannot explain how I did it, but yeah, that did happen. So I'm a bit terrified to try and unscrew this thing, but you're probably not going to see this video. So yeah. Well, I was a silly little goose, and that was really easy to do compared to the Iron Man. It's probably because it's a plastic port, not a metal one. So, and also what's good is here, that's a screw, so if this joint ever loosens up, you can also tighten it up. But just be careful of these pegs. Apparently there's horror stories of these snapping off. So let's have a look at what this looks like. You know what, that is brighter than I thought. But as you can see, it kind of tails off towards the end, which is to be expected. And as it's button cell, it'll last about as long as I do in bed, unfortunately. But other than that, that's very nice. I mean, Anakin can kill a lot of kids in that time and commit a lot of war crimes in that time. So this shouldn't be too bad. Oh my god. There we go. That blue is quite nice because it's using a blue LED. That has nothing to do with the blade, I think. But a lot of people are going to be displaying it like this with the light off, because you can't leave the light on 24/7 as it's button cell. So they probably should have made a bluer blade and used a white light, but, is what it is. So for comparison, here is the Hot Toys General Skywalker with the Black Series General Skywalker. Now, I don't know why you'd compare them like this. I don't know why you'd display them like this unless you had a Hayden shrine. Now, I absolutely love the Clone Wars series of the Black Series, but for, many obvious reasons. the Hot Toys is stunning. But I'm also using this as a reflection of what's more Clone Wars, because it looks like the same pauldron and same design in terms of armour. But yes, now you can't have your general without your captain, so for comparison, here is the Hot Toys Anakin with the Captain Rex. Now this is the Clone Wars variant. For the Clone Wars variant, this is not the Ahsoka one that hasn't came out yet, because, you know, duh. So this is what these two will look like together. The animated style, which is a blend of Hot Toys and Sideshow's realism and cartoon animation, I suppose. But these look absolutely beautiful together. Now, you cannot have the leaders of the 501st. Also, I have a future video where we do another Clone Wars member who was also technically in the 501st and later becomes Commander. But I'm not going to display her just yet. That can be saved for later. And here he is with the Hot Toys 501st Deluxe Clone Trooper. This is the older one, the first one they brought out. This is not the Kenobi variant. So this is probably how you display them together. Now, although that is the more Season 1 and 2 look of Anakin, and you'd probably want a Phase 1 Clone Trooper to go next to him, this is still a beautiful look. I think the blues complement each other nicely. And just the way, because I've got him standing at the moment, I think he would be a little bit taller. But Anakin being taller than the clones is technically accurate, because Hayden's a tall boy, and so is Anakin, compared to Tamara Morrison and Jango Fett and all of the clones. But that's a cool look. Now, we don't have them yet, but we do have the live-action clones, so let's compare them. And here he is with the live-action 501st clone, as we see in Kenobi and Ahsoka and various other projects. But the live-action body mold has a different paint scheme, so I wouldn't say it looks as nice with this version of Anakin, but I'd still say the mold looks incredible with it. But also he still works nicely, so if you've only got this version of the Clone Trooper, putting these in the same display, you absolutely could. Same point as I made with the 501st Deluxe pack, is that it's a Phase 2 technically with a Phase 1 Anakin, so if you're really a stickler for continuity, that's a bit of an issue. But for me, this isn't. I like the armoured look anyway, so I would prefer the armour than the Season 3 onwards look. Well, I suppose it's partly through Season 3. The less armoured version of this suit, I would probably not use. But it's a personal choice. Some people prefer continuity. Overall, these look incredible together. I don't know what it is, but these two together just do look very cinematic. It's really nice. Now, before I send you away so you can watch better content, I want you to put a comment down below saying what you think of the figure. Do you think this bad boy is still relevant today? 'Cause although I say yes, you might say differently. And I think we should put him in a display that would look nicer than a white box. Or a shadowy box, because, you know, the light's getting a bit dim. So let's get some photography going. Now, much love. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you boys. And probably one girl later on. Much love, my dudes. Also, quick PSA, this figure is for adults, and this video is for adults, because if a child buys this, he will become sentient and murder you. Just keep that in mind, guys.